if you had told me this summer that we'd be 2-2 with losses to Nevada and Penn State, I'd say, look at my preseason picks. That's exactly what I said we'd be. Where we're all going to be surprised is, sorry guys, I see all the chat thing right over my screen. It's covering stuff. Where we're surprised is how it's happening. It's a lot of really great defense and a lot of questionable offense. Numbers aside, the defense played pretty well yesterday. There were a couple of long plays that got away from us. I never expect a perfect game out of either unit, but they kept Nevada to 24 points, which is about what Arizona State and Texas A&M did to them. Someone correct me if I got the wrong Texas school. But the offense just looks confused at times. I mean, once in a while you'll see a flash of something really great and a lot of confused play. So here we are wondering what's going on with UB, and in comes the Beast of the East, Bowling Green, the team we have to beat if we want a chance at winning the division this year. And I'm not confident we can do it. I'm less confident than I was after the Penn State loss that we'd have a shot against Bowling Green because our offense has been stagnant and Bowling Green has played some pretty good football. What do you guys think?
I want to give the offense a little more credit. At the end of the day, you have to score points, and they did not score many. And they left a lot on the field, but I think the offense came out, and two of their first three drives, they moved the ball. Two of their first four. And then they got kind of caught up a bit in the second quarter, and I thought they came out in the second half and they moved the ball well. I thought we saw some good adjustments there. The offense is 11 folks, and the 5 folks in the trench right now are hurting a little bit. I think the offense looked really good because UB converted 7 of 16 third downs and also converted a fourth down. So in my book, that's 8 of 16. A lot of those were long, and I give credit to Joe and the receivers there. I think that the offense looked better in the second half, and I want to give them credit for that. I'm in this weird middle ground because I also want them to score points, and I'm pretty upset at the ways that they ended up not scoring points. But I do think that was the strongest offensive game of the last 3, as sad as that is to say.
Now, Matt, as you bring that up, there's something interesting I noticed this week. On our first drives through 4 games, we're averaging 3.25 plays before we punt and about 7 yards before we punt.
I know.
I mean, our first drives have been brutal. Doesn't matter if we receive or kick off. The first time we touch the ball is almost always completely a wasted possession.
Yeah, and the second time we touched the ball today, we scored a touchdown in 2 minutes. And then the third time they ran, well, there was 7 plays. It's not as good as I thought. But I thought the offense was better coming out of the gate today than they have been in any of the other 3 previous games. And I thought they were better coming out of second half adjustments than they were in any of the previous 3 games. They still weren't good, and they still weren't reliable, as you said, but I think it's a little bit more than flashes, as you said.
That might be fair. I mean, we were 3-0 against Albany.
Yeah.
So there's that. A lot of this, there was a lot of going on in the back room where we kind of talked to each other about who's better, Willie or Licata, and there might be a post coming out there because Joe Licata holds, of course, the most important of all quarterback records, and that's touchdown passes. Drew Willie still holds yardage, and I suspect will hold it through the end of the year. But is it fair to put this on the quarterback? Is it fair to put this all on the line or the running game? Conrad, what do you think?
I don't think it's fair to put it on the quarterback. We had a big interception in the first interception, which a lot of people who were at the game said that it holding on Willoughby, that away from that ball, the safety got it on TV. It looked awful, like Licata threw it. No one was, and it was an easy interception. But if there was holding, that was all. Then it's not really on that one. The second one, he missed it, and that's fun. Otherwise, I just, he had a really good game statistically. It just didn't point on the board. And that is just a general lack of rhythm that has us all scratching our heads what the problem is. A lot of it's the penalties with the linemen. Against Penn State, we had really, really good passing. and then a lot of good plays negated by these, and then a third and long, which I think our whole season has been our worst situation, third or second and long. Really, any long situation we've been really. But I also think the comparison is bad. I think it's. I look back at 2008 UB fan, and it was just a lot more optimistic and realistic. And that was in the third year of the program, with Willie being in the same offense 3 years, with a guy, a NFL running back, an NFL center, NFL level wide receiver, and a CFL wide receiver. So it was pretty stacked offense, and we're 2-4, and we're still giving Willie credit. Like I said on the comments, he was 17 for 34 for 157 yards and a game-ending interception against Western Michigan to fall to 2-4. I think it was our third straight loss. People were still upbeat. They're like, well, maybe we won't win the MAC, but we're still the best team we've ever seen. If Licata had a day like that in game 5 or 6, which is just the 5th or 6th game in that system, people are going to, I think, be calling for his head. People are already going to call for his head a little bit. And it's really frustrating. I think too soon, too. Like, we'll go 3 and out in that first drive, and people are calling for his head in the game thread. So, that's all wrong. We know Licata can play. We even had someone harking to the days of Maynard in 2009, which was the most frustrating season for a quarterback. We had literally 2 turnovers a game, every single game, and a fumble that weren't recovered by the other team, but should have been turnovers. I think we need to lay off on Licata, especially even the great numbers he had this week. It's not stats, playing triplets. He had a good game. We don't have the rhythm to play together, and I think we just play it together. I don't think it's time to shake it up or call people out or change legacies. And I was saying in our back talks, worst game Starks ever had was the MAC championship game. He had 2 fumbles. The reason why Nate Davis had that chance to get that score to put Ball State up 2 possessions was because Starks fumbled the ball away for the second time. If Nate Davis scores that touchdown, it was that game. It's all on Starks. But the defense made a big play, and the defense made another big play, and we won that game. And we don't talk about what happened in that time period. Since we're losing games now, we're over-analyzing what's happening. But I think, it's a long season. We're only 4 games in. We need to stick with what we have right now. They just need to execute.
Okay, and that's fair. I generally fall in the. I think this week I've switched from Licata as our best ever quarterback to Willie, but I think no matter where you fall on that spectrum, there's no doubt Licata is the best quarterback we have right now to run this team. And I think anyone who's saying, well, we need to make a big change at quarterback isn't thinking really clearly. We still have a shot for 7 or so wins this season. I think if you bring in Tony Daniel, it's a completely different offense. I like Tony Daniel. I definitely have seen him do some neat things over the years, but I don't think the read option is where we want to go to win the conference. I think that's his stronger game is to run with his legs. Matt or John, do you got anything to add on the offense?
Well, with the whole Willie Licata discussion, I wasn't here for Drew Willie. I think I was in 7th, 8th, 9th grade when Drew Willie was the quarterback of UB, and I don't really know too much about. Well, I never really watched much of his tape other than the big highlights and whatnot. But I think going into this season, there's some expectation of Licata that he's going to go out and put up these amazing numbers week in and week out. And I think the big thing that people oftentimes forget is that he was in Jeff Quinn's system for 4 years, and then Lance Leipold comes in. He has to learn a whole new language. He's actually using a snap count now, and it's a completely different offense that he had to digest in basically one off season without any spring ball practice, and the first real reps he got was in training camp. I think Conrad has said this a bunch of times too, that the offense takes time to gel, takes time to get a rhythm going and working together. And I think people are just kind of looking past that, and they really shouldn't be. I obviously, yes, it is disappointing that they're not putting up points, and there's a lot of brutal mistakes that's leaving points on the field and costing us games. But I think as the season goes along, it'll start to improve, and we'll hopefully get better.
So Matt, you got anything to add to that? I know you had voiced your opinion.
I have a little more on the offense. I think it's all 11 guys. I think Licata and Colin Lisa, you'll hear about this later, have done a good job on third downs, especially. I think that the mistakes this week that left points on the board were pretty big mistakes. I also am sympathetic to the idea that this is one of those situations where the longer I talk, the more people will say, actually, Matt, I disagree with you. And the longer other people talk, the more I'll nod my head and agree. So I'm just going to stop digging now.
Oh, man, I agree with you right off the bat. Don't worry about it.
Well, thank you.
Well, I got to say, just to end it, as Josh Cribbs would say, if Joe Okada's your quarterback, he's the guy who's going to take the ball, snap back at it. So that's what we got in Joe Okada.
I think we can all agree that the really frustrating part of the offense has not been Licata's play, even though, again...
I thought you were going to say the frustrating part of the offense was going to be Josh Cribbs.
Oh, I wanted to write a book of Cribbsisms. I'm tempted to go back and watch the game just to write them all down.
He put out a tweet. Really put out a tweet that said, "Boy, had a weak start to my first game, but a lot of fun, and I finished strong." And I read that. And I was like, finished strong.
And by finish strong, I mean he called for the 2-minute warning in college football. Anyways, I think we all agree that the most frustrating part about the offense has been the penalties. Some of them are dumb penalties. There's good penalties and bad penalties. False starts are always bad penalties. Most of those holdings are bad penalties. Unless you're saving Joe Licata's life, you shouldn't be holding a guy. But hopefully those are the fixable things, and we'll see as we go forward. My last thoughts on Nevada is I hope this isn't the game we look back at the end of the season and say, that's the one that got us to 6 or 7 wins in a bowl game, and we had 3 attempts in the fourth quarter to take the lead, and we intercepted, or that was the third quarter with that first interception. Intercepted, fumbled, intercepted. That's not how you win football games. Any other final thoughts on Nevada before we move on?
I thought the defense actually played very well. Outside of the 2 big runs that they accounted for, if I can do math in my head quick, it was 90 and 55, so about 140, 150 yards in the first quarter. Defense, I thought they played really well. They, for the most part, contained the running backs. They limited Tyler Stewart to only 90 yards passing. Obviously, Nevada didn't need to pass that much, but Boise Ross is still looking like an absolute stud. I saw Cameron Lewis, he's a true freshman. He was on the field. He saw a good number of snaps. He had a pass breakup on the Randy Anyanwu. It was a personal foul, or some unnecessary roughness or something. Cam Lewis had him and Ryan Williamson had a beautiful pass breakup, and he was playing well. The defensive backs as a whole, they played an excellent game. The defense was good outside of a couple of plays, which is nice to see because those big chunk yardage plays are becoming more the exception rather than the rule like they have been in years past.
Well, I'll say that my thought of Nevada is I'm a little worried about our defense. I just look at the stats of last year. We gave up 9 runs of 20 to 29 yards. We've already given up 4 this year, between 20 and 29. So we're projected to exceed that. We gave up 14 runs in 10 and 19 yards. We gave 30 this year. We gave 14 already this year. So projected to have 54 runs between 10 and 30 yards, and we got 39 last year. I think that's a symptom of our smaller defense. When it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, we can line up and blitz the gaps and get a stop. But when it's 1st and 10, 2nd and 5, and it's a mix down, I don't think our eyes can stop the run without keying in on it. So if we think it's pass, they end up running, it's going to be trouble for us. In the meantime, we've done better at the pass. We allowed 41 pass plays between 20 and 40 yards last year, which is ridiculous. But we've only allowed 6 so far this year. So pass game has stepped up. I think has really clamped down on the long passes. But the flip side to that of going small and stopping the pass game is that if we're not keying and expecting the run, it's killing us. And it definitely, those 2 big plays were the difference in the game against Nevada, because outside of those 2 plays, they didn't really have much offense, but it was enough to get the win.
Well, Connor, that was enough to get the win because our offense turned the ball over 3 times in the second half. I mean, I'm going to throw this out there again, and I know some of their points were garbage points in those other 2 games, but against 2 ranked opponents, P5 ranked opponents, they put up 22 points, right? 20 and 22 points. They put up 24 against us, and yeah, those big plays were frustrating. I think it's the first one more so because I can't remember who it is that I saw in the defensive backfield overcommit, and if he just went 2 feet less to his left, he would have been right in the gap to stop that play, and he just was just in the wrong place. But I'll take this defense over any defense we've had for quite a few years, and considering the talent we had on that defense 2-3 years ago, that's saying something.
I want to very quickly, I think we had some of our younger defensive tackles in on both of those plays. I know on the second one, Gusty Schwartzmeyer was in, and I'm pretty sure he and Justin Brandon were in on the first one. And Justin Brandon has shown that he's one of the better defensive tackles on the team. And if he's not starting, he's close to it anyway, as it stands. But I do think on both of those plays we had, among the guys that we have in the rotation, some of our younger players. I don't mean that as an excuse or anything else. I just find it interesting when we think about how there were 2 big plays and not a whole lot of other success there.
Well, I think it's something to watch out for. We went from maybe I don't know. I'm losing my thought here. I definitely think the pass game is a little better, and I think it has come at a sacrifice. And I don't think the 2 runs by Nevada are going to prove to be an aberration. I think they're going to prove to be the rule. So far, we had the backup in state really us up for long gains in the second half of that game, really held it away. And he's turned out to be pretty good since then. I think he's kind of taken the reins from Nikhil Lynch. FAU, I didn't see him, so I don't know if we got gashed for a lot of long runs. But I'm worried. I was worried about size, and I think we really stood up under 1 and second and short when we scheme for run. I think we've been really good. But when we're in our base defense and a nice block, I think it's going to big run every time. I don't think we're big enough to stop it just with 4 down linemen.
Well, yeah, and let's keep in mind, we didn't, quote, go small. Borland came in and wants to run a 4-3, and he had a team equipped to run a 3-4. So we are small. I don't think it's not like when Jeff Quinn came in here and said, I want all the linemen to lose 20 pounds and be more athletic. This is just a matter of it's a transition year, and I think for what he inherited, we have a very young defense. We have a very playing positions they weren't trained for years. They're doing great, and I can't say enough about the defense. Those 2 plays stink, but I'll take those 2 plays and what I get the rest of the game with it. Right? It's at the end of the day, what game has the defense lost for us?
Well, you got to say, though, if our offense struggling and we have them pinned at the 5, give them that long run is a game killer because the game is completely different. If they get 20 yards in a punt, with our offense struggling, we need to win that field position game. We can't give them 90 yards like this. And I think I said in the game thread, we need a timeout right there. If we can hold them to a field goal there, let them run up to the line and score real quick again. Having any team score in plays is going to be killer for us because the offense is struggling. And hey, we got Bowling Green this week, so that's not the best week to find out that's a week.
That's true. The Falcon Fast can do its thing. Okay, has anyone else got anything in Nevada, or have we got it all out of our system? All right, let's move on to players of the game for Nevada. Matt, you want to go first?
I'll go first. I think I have a name that folks might not expect. My player of the game is Colin Lisa, wide receiver, of course. I mentioned earlier at the top of the show how UB's numbers on third down. They were 7 of 16 on third down, 1 for 1 on fourth down. I've always combined those numbers, so I say 8 of 16. I don't know why more people don't. Lisa had 4 receptions on 6 targets, and 3 of them went for first downs on third down and 6 or longer. I think it was 3rd and 6, 3rd and 11, and 3rd and 13. And that other reception was his touchdown reception. His only 2 incompletions were on that first drive of the game on a ball that hit his hands but was maybe a little bit overthrown. In the game thread, I said that's his fault if it hits your hands. You got to pull it in, and I stand by that. And then his other incompletion was in the that last drive of the game right after the holding penalty on Dylan Guy. But otherwise, I think that the defining feel-good takeaway for me of this offense, to the extent that I'm willing to let myself feel good, was their ability to convert third downs and pick up big chunks of yards at a time. And as much as Willoughby and Weiser put together big yardage, going over 100 yards each, it was Colin Lisa who I saw convert 3 third downs and pull in a touchdown catch. And for someone who only had 1 catch in his career before the season, he's quickly up in the depth chart.
Okay, and what about the other half of that Lisa connection? Conrad, what was your player of the game?
I'm going to give it to Joe Licata. It's his 4th career 100-yard passing game. He had a pretty game, 28 attempts, 46 attempts, 28 completions, 338 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I know the problem here with Licata is throwing for as many times as he did. And there's a stat that I've used before, and I'm going to bring it back, is when Licata has passed for 40 attempts or more, UB is 1 in 5. And one of those was the Stony Brook overtime game. So if you say in regulation with 40 attempts, he's 0 in 5. And this is the 5th one. And our offense is just not made to have that much passing. And I think Licata can do it. He's done it. We had that Toledo game with 4 touchdowns and almost 500 yards. The Army game last year, the EMU last year, when we're furiously throwing the ball around trying to stay in the game, it just never works for us. He had a good game, and if a couple things broke right, it would have been a win.
All right, John.
There we go. Well, I kind of went the easier route here. I took Matt Weiser as my player of the game. I had 10 receptions, 131 yards, and a touchdown. His 131 yards was the most by a UB tight end in the FBS era. He had the receiving yards and receptions were both career highs. He already has 17 catches on the season, which is already more than he had all last season. He's proven to be a pretty reliable target for Joe Licata. On the 41-yard touchdown pass that he caught, he was standing pretty much wide open in the middle of the field, and then it was a sprint. It was just a sprint down the field after he caught the ball. I expect pretty big things out of him. He's doing very well so far, and I think hopefully these type of games for him will start becoming more of the norm.
That comes to me. I'm going to go with Boise Ross. For me, it's an easy one. It's been a lot of years since we've had really strong corner play, guys who can kind of handle one-on-one, but once again, we were not killed with a passing game. Now, granted, that's not Nevada's game, but Boise Ross, I believe, still leads the nation in passes defended.
He does.
Yeah, and he is just cleaning up the UB backfield, the UB defensive backfield. And if we keep getting that, maybe we can focus more on that run that Conrad was talking about. Now on to Bowling Green, we start MAC play. We're 2-2. It's a fresh season as far as I'm concerned. Conference play begins. If we split conference play and go 4-4, we will in all likelihood go bowling. If we can't do that, we will sit home. And Bowling Green is, for those of you who don't know, is expected to win the MAC East. They've actually had a pretty strong start to their season. They're 2-2, but that's a deceptive record. They lost to Memphis, who was a very good team. They lost late in that game. The other game they lost, I believe, was to Tennessee to open up the year, and they were pretty competitive in that until later in the game. So is Bowling Green as good as advertised? I know you guys probably have actually caught a lot more of them than I have. I don't get to watch a lot of games outside UB anymore, just kind of where my life is sitting. So is Falcon Fast for real? What do you think, Conrad?
I mean, they are what we think they are. I don't think they're good. I think they are what they are. They go fast, and if they find a good matchup, they'll win. If they find a bad matchup, they'll lose. I think it's a stupid idea, especially at our level, when you can't recruit people who on defense who can counteract the fact that you're running 100 plays a game on offense and you're doing it super quick. I have some stats to bring it out, but last year we, for all intents and purposes, beat Bowling Green because we ran it 30, 40 times with Anthony Taylor while they threw it around, and their defense got tired before ours did, and our defense was awful. And if we could have gotten 1 yard or kicked a field goal, we would have won that game. So Bowling Green has really good offensive stats. They make 6.65 yards per play. They throw it. They get 8.4 yards gained per pass attempt, and they gain 4.1 yards per run. So that's all really good and really scary if you're a defender playing against them. But the flip side of that is they allow 6.09 yards per play. They allow 8.3 yards per pass attempt, and they allow 4.4 yards per run. So as good as their offense is, that's as bad as their defense is. And I think it's purely a reflection of the fact that their defense is only going to get 2 minutes of rest before every series. And so really, as you've seen, every game they've played this year has been really close because no matter how many points they score 35, they score 44, their defense is going to give up about 30 or 40 points as well. So, Falcon Fast is its gimmick, but I don't think it's a game changer, I don't think it's like Baylor where we can't catch up. I think it's going to be a fun game, and just like last year, whoever has the ball last wins.
So this gets me onto something. It feels to me like we have been setting up the run with the pass early on. I went back and looked at some of the early drives and just the early halves. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, but is that the feeling you guys get? Like we're trying to use Licata and the short passing game to kind of open things up for Taylor, and is that the wrong way to do it? John?
I'll jump. Yeah, I think it is the wrong way to do it if that's what they're trying to do. I mean, it seems what they're trying to do. I can't say definitively that it actually is what they're trying to do, but I've always thought that you run the ball to set up the pass because the defense will respect your run game. That'll open up the passing game, and that's the way things work. I'm not necessarily sure it works the other way around. We've had limited success with it. Taylor, they didn't run the ball well against Nevada. Well, they didn't run the ball well for most of the game. I think Jordan Johnson ended up leading UB in rushing, I think with 79 yards. I would rather see them run on first and second down, and then throw on third down. That's what I would rather see. But I'm not the one being paid to make the call plays.
What do you think, Conrad?
Well, I'm a believer that you can do either. If you throw the ball well and the defense backs up, you can run all over them. And if you run it well and they come close, you can pass it over them. I think you do either. You just have to execute on whatever you do. And the problem, I think, with us is if we use the run to set up the pass, we're holding and we're chop blocking and we're illegal hands to the facing and we're putting ourselves in passing situations. And we pass up the run, we're holding and we're false starting and we're illegal hands to the face and we're setting ourselves up into long passing situations. So I think no matter what we do, we need to cut down the penalties and execute. We can't drop passes, we can't fumble handoffs, we can't take offensive line penalties. Those are the things that no matter what we do, we're going to be in trouble if we continue in that path.
So, Matt, what do you think about Bowling Green? Are they, as Conrad says, who we think they are? I guess the thing I'm trying to get at is, the MAC has been a very West-heavy dominated league for some time, and it seems like this season Toledo may be heads up and shoulders above everyone else. But Northern Illinois has shown some weakness. Certainly, Western Michigan is not looking like who we thought they were going to be. Is it really kind of a parity on the top of the MAC East-West this year?
Well, I think Bowling Green's a good team, and I think over the last 10 years, Bowling Green is an above-average, compared to the last 10 years, an above-average MAC team. I agree with a lot of what Conrad said. Bowling Green is not, Baylor deep into the season last year had a top 10 defense. Bowling Green is not Baylor. Bowling Green is Loyola Marymount Hank Gathers basketball. Dino Babers has reanimated Hank Gathers and is running up and down the field as fast as he can over and over again. With maybe a stop at Virginia Military Institute in 2004 shooting up 100 shots a game. That's what Bowling Green is. And when you play that game, you give up a lot of points, as Conrad said. But it's not just they're giving up a lot of points because they're giving the other team a lot of opportunities. Their defense is bad. I am impressed with their schedule, and that's really what I'd like to. I'm impressed with their schedule. They went out and scheduled a tough slate for a MAC team. Tennessee, Maryland, Memphis, and Purdue. That's the toughest schedule the MAC team put up this year, all at once, for sure. Maryland and Purdue, giving up 27 points to Maryland, giving up 28 to Purdue is not something I'd hang my hat on. They're not good Power 5 teams. And they are Power 5 teams, and they're wins that only 3 other games in the MAC have matched up to even beat a Power 5 team. But, 2 other games, they're both from Toledo. But giving up 59 to Tennessee, I don't think that's not exciting. And I think Memphis is a good team. I've got Memphis as number 6 among the G5 right now in my rankings. But I think their defense stands out just as much as their offense does in a way that I agree with Conrad. There's opportunities there. I think we match up with them less well than we did last year. I think last year when we came out and drove 80 yards in 10 minutes and took a 7-0 lead, I think that's what I want to see again this year. I think we're less able to do that now. And so I'm a little less confident than I was last year, but I think we're a different team from last year. And I hate Matt Johnson. I don't hate Matt Johnson. I really dislike Matt Johnson in a way that I have generally reserved for basketball players.
You football hate him. It's okay.
I football hate him. But normally a MAC football
hate isn't what football hate is. You can football hate him. It's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person.
Normally in MAC football, I don't really care about anyone else. I just care about their idiot fan bases. Matt Johnson might as well be a Brazilian afro-wearing drug trafficker from Akron basketball. That's that's the level of dislike I have for Matt Johnson. You might as well be a basketball player in the MAC because across the board I dislike the entire MAC at basketball. And football I'm kind of meh. But I don't like Matt Johnson.
Okay. That one kind of got away from Matt there.
Someone is still bitter about Alex Abreu and Keith Dambrot's program there in Akron.
My thing with Bowling Green and these kind of games, and I think Conrad and Matt, you guys both made excellent points, that these are slugfest. Is the team that makes the most mistakes is generally the team that loses those games. It's 1 or 2 drives, 1 or 2 turnovers will win those games, more so than games where teams work their way up and down the field. And if that's the case, I'm really worried about us because I think right now we're pretty mistake prone on offense. We shoot ourselves in the foot with penalties. And unless our defense does to Bowling Green what they do against what they did to FAU, I think we lose a turnover battle in most games. So, John, you've watched Bowling Green. What do you think about Bowling Green this year?
I don't really have much new to add other than what's already been said, but Matt Johnson currently leads the FBS in passing yardage, and he averages over 440 yards a game. And that scares me. I'm not gonna lie.
Statistically, he also leads the NCAA in mat hate. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, their passing game is very good. They're a quick team, and they'll burn a defense. I'm worried. I don't know. They are who we think they are. It's kind of ironic. I'm wearing an Arizona Cardinals T-shirt, and you said that over and over again, and I have a repeat of Dennis Green in my head going off, and it's bringing back awful memories. Sorry, it was a little bit of a tangent, but I think they're 108th in the nation in scoring defense. So, like Matt said, they're not that great. So it's just going to come down to our offense versus their defense and how well we can score points. It's all about keeping up with their offense. I think that's what the game's going to be about.
So that brings us to what are our keys for the game against Bowling Green? Conrad, what do you got?
Well, I already kind of said it, but I think we need to execute. I think we could have scored 50 last week against Nevada. I come away not super impressed by the Wolfpack. And I came away last year not super impressed by Bowling Green, but there's a little execution things that we didn't do, like that 3rd and 1 and that field goal, or coming on and making a defensive stop when the game depended on it. And I think one of the things I've seen is Matt Johnson is dangerous to run, and I think, was it 2 years ago at the Ralph? He kind of, on 3rd and long, that's always the problem, is you can stop everything, and then Matt Johnson can break away, and he's pretty elusive. He's very frustrating, and if he's allowed to run, I think a lot more people will hate him this year than just Matt. So we got to keep him in the pocket, and I actually think we'll be okay with that because we have a smaller, faster team than we usually have. So hopefully we can chase him down, spy him with a Barry or an Alozi or a Pizzanka, and stop him from hurting us with his run, with his feet, I guess.
I don't think Pizzanka can spy him. I think Barry maybe, but I think
everywhere.
Don't get me wrong. I'm impressed by Travis. He's a great athlete, but I don't think he's built to spy Matt Johnson.
And then I guess my last point. So on that is my other point is. When Bowling Green has been one-dimensional, pass. They've been really good this year. When they've tried to run the ball, they haven't been as good. So I would make Travis Green run the football, because taking away the Matt Johnson run and not letting him throw the ball all the time, I think that's our best chance at winning. And if we do that, we can't let him run good. Is my note. Like I said, I'm most worried about our run defense in passing situations. So. If we can take a 2nd and 7 and stop a Travis Green run for no gain, we'll win this game. If he can get a first down on 2nd and 7 running the ball with a running back, we're in a lot of trouble and we will lose this game.
So before we go further, I have to ask, because I keep seeing the thumbs down there in Matt's window. Why do you hate him so much? Is there something I'm not tuned into?
It is no. It's just one of those irrational. I just can't stand him. He got injured, and everyone bellyached over how awful it was that this kid got injured, and yada yada. He's such a talent, and I got sick of that hype. He's had some misconduct somewhere in the world, which is not a reason to really wish ill on him, but it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And really, people love him, and I don't think they should. I'm trying to think of someone else who people really dislike without any reason, that like all of us dislike, and we're all just, yeah, we hated that guy when he played against Buffalo, and I don't have an example. This might as well be my keys to the game section, because I've said everything I had written down here, which is I want to see us run the ball effectively to burn clock, and I want to see Matt Johnson do poorly. He's just someone who I don't like, and I hope that he goes into a career in something other than sports. Conrad brings up Julian Edelman. You know, that's a good one too. You know, this whole tangent got started when Conrad complimented me for bringing up Hank Gathers, and that I got excited and started rambling. Nate Davis, yeah, Nate Davis had the flu, and he has a learning disability, so we're not allowed to rag on him because we're classless Buffalo fans. So that's an example of disliking the Ball State fans versus Nate Davis. This is really something that I feel very frequently in basketball. 60% of everyone who's ever played for Central Michigan, David Kuhl at Western Michigan, DJ Cooper for sure, but we can all agree on DJ Cooper that he was awful. Daddy's Little Princess at Central Michigan, that guy at Northern Illinois who transferred away after 2 years because he thought he was going to go to the NBA. This is what I have with Matt Johnson, and exactly, Tim. He didn't make it to the NBA. I don't feel this way about most football teams. Mostly, I like MAC football. I think that I like the schools. I like the geographic concentration. I just can't stand the fans. Matt Johnson is a place where I don't like him, and I'm not even going to bother with keys to the game now because I've talked too long. Run the ball, and run it well.
All right, John. What are, other than hating Matt Johnson, what are your keys to the game?
Mine is the UB secondary. If they can match up well with the Bowling Green receivers and limit Matt Johnson, if they keep him 300 yards or less, I think they have a pretty good shot at beating them. It's going to come down to pass defense, whichever way you look at it. So, Boise Ross, Marcus Baker, Ryan Williamson, Andrew Stadabo, those four guys on defense, they're going to be one of the big determining factors whether this team wins or loses. That's not counting the offense. I'm not even going to touch that, but they have to stop the Bowling Green offense. If the defense can't stop the Bowling Green offense, I'm not confident in the offense's ability to put up points. So it starts with those guys on the back end of the defense. They can limit Matt Johnson, then they have a shot.
I'm going to go with the offensive line. To beat this Bowling Green team, we're going to have to not hurt ourselves, which means we will need the most disciplined, solid performance by our offensive line that we've seen to date this season. Hopefully no or very, very few false starts. Only hold the other guy when he's going to kill Licata, right? And that's the only time it's okay to hold is when he's going to kill your quarterback, not when the running backs already went past you. Just do the little things right. Don't make big mistakes. Don't kill drives, because in this is one of those games where every drive is going to count. Conrad talked about it. Matt talked about it. It's pretty much going to be run up and down the field all day long, and whichever team is still standing at the end is going to win. And that brings us to predictions. I'm going to go with Matt first because Matt always keeps his secret, and I just want to see what it is so I can copy it because I'm ahead of him now. So if I just copy Matt, I'll stay ahead of him the rest of the year.
That is a good point. I alluded to it earlier. This whole show I've had like 3 things to say, and I just keep coming back to them. I think this game is very similar to last year. I don't think Bowling Green is a markedly different team than last year, except they have glory boy Matt Johnson back instead of James Knapke at quarterback. I'm somewhat impressed with the win over Maryland. I'm not very impressed at all with the win over Purdue. I think that Bowling Green will score plenty of points. I think that UB will hold them a little more than some of our early pickers are. I think UB will have another day of improvement in the offense, but I don't think it'll be enough. I think we're up for another one of these games where by the end of the day we have good numbers, but a lot of them came playing from behind in the second half. I've got Bowling Green 34, UB 27.
Okay, John.
All right, I'll keep this one short and sweet. I'm not convinced that the UV offense can keep up with the Bowling Green offense, with the way that Bowling Green has been playing. Our defense looks much improved. I think they will hold them somewhat. But I have Bowling Green 40, UB 28.
40 is holding them somewhat. Okay. Conrad.
Well, I'm checking the weather real quick, and it says 57 and rain. I think rain always happens for Bowling Green game. There's always a little element of sloppiness that's going to be there. I think that's going to be there again this week. One thing that really gets me is, the Memphis game. Cincinnati and Miami, fought to the death in their game, their battle of the something. I don't remember the name of it.
Victory Bell, isn't it?
Victory Bell? Yeah, that sounds right. And then Memphis came and beat Bowling Green close, and then Memphis went to Cincinnati and they beat them close. So that, I don't know what any of that says, and then they beat Purdue, which is not the best team. So I'm not feeling Bowling Green right now, and I do think they are just what the doctor ordered for our offense, because they tire their own defense out so badly that when we get to our funk where we're not executing, they're going to be tired and not executing. So I think the score is going to be up. I think it's a good time for Leipold to rely on a running game. So I want to see both backs get over 20 carries today or on Saturday. So another high-scoring game. I don't even want to call it, but I'm thinking, I keep feeling 42-38 Buffalo. 42-38. It's going to. I just think that it's going to be just like the game last year, except for this year a little better execution in the short yardage game on both sides, and I just can't see losing to Bowling Green. We lost them in 2012 with Licata. We lost them in 2013 with Licata again in the clash. We lost them last year when we should have beat them.
We haven't beat them since 2010 by my reckoning.
Yeah.
Did we?
In 2011, it was a really windy game where punts were going for like 7 yards, and we just fell apart in the second half.
So 4 straight years. 11 was the one in Columbus.
Oh, excuse
Right,
me.
last
Then it was 2010.
No,
It was
2010 we won. That was
Okay.
That was
2010
Quinn's
was Quinn's
shining
first-
moment in the
yeah.
whole season.
And it must have been my junior year of 12 then. Because I'm pretty sure it was
12
my junior year of college that I came back for Bowling Green on Thanksgiving weekend.
That was 11. That must have been 11. 13 was Bowling Green on Black Friday. That was the game for the MAC championship.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and Ralph Wilson, yeah.
Right, and then last year was, and in the last 3 games against Bowling Green, they were low-scoring, close games. Last year, and like I said, Buffalo really should have won, and I think this team is better than last year's team at this point in time. We're at home. We usually play better at home than we did yesterday. I think it's going to be a good week for Leipold to take the reins off of Licata, give them 2 weeks, the bye weeks next, to kind of retool the passing game, and just put this one on the backs of Jordan Johnson and Anthony Taylor, who have looked good, but in our shotgun kind of focused offense have been used sparingly and maybe not imaginatively. So let's run the ball. Let's wear them down. Falcon Fast can do its thing. 42-38.
All right, that was an awesomely long prediction. Where you said you weren't going to say much.
I had to come back around and say it again so I can save myself editing time later. So I'm just going to cut out the first 75% and just use that last part.
All right, I'll make this one short. I will make this one short and sweet. I don't see us beating Bowling Green. I hope I'm wrong on this. I'm going to say Bowling Green 34, Buffalo 31. And I'm only picking those numbers to cover most of the 30s for Bowling Green and the upper 20s for Buffalo. I have no idea who's going to score what. Just kind of trying to play the numbers.
Group Egg update. With 12 picks in, Conrad's 80-point over/under is the highest scoring prediction yet. I think that's the first time we've had such a departure from the norm from one of us. We're usually pretty in the range of people's predictions, but Conrad's the high picker right now in total points.
Conrad is booing my gamesmanship, but my gamesmanship was very, very dang close.
Don't hate the player.
FAU. Just saying, if Buffalo scores a touchdown there...
All of us were close at FAU.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if Buffalo scored a touchdown, I would have won.
And none of you are, so, you know.
Conrad hates the game. He does. Basketball brew peg is fun, too. We're going to ramp that up earlier this year.
All right.
That's
all right. So, the time for just sign-offs. Matt, why don't you go first, just for fun?
Oh, fine. I've already talked about Matt Johnson, right?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Sign off. Asking for feedback from folks. I ran a piece today, kind of a bit of a tactical strategy piece on women's soccer, and I really enjoyed putting it together, and I have one for men's soccer coming tomorrow. So to the extent that I ever ask anyone to read Olympic sports posts, even if they don't care, go check that out, and if you want to see more of it, let me know, because I really enjoyed putting it together, but I'd have to rearrange some of my posting priorities to do it, so I want to know if people like it. An actual shout-out thing, I'm looking at recruiting right now. We've gotten a commit anywhere, and I would like more recruiting to report on. It's been 2 weeks since women's basketball got a commit from Teresa Onwuka. It's been 2 weeks since men's basketball got a commit from Quayton McKenzie, and it's been 3 weeks since wrestling's got a commit from Ryan Peters. And not all of those are 2016. I think Onwuka. Oh, maybe they are. Either way, it feels like it's been a while since we've gotten a commitment, and so I'd like for something to happen in the recruiting world. Any sport, really. Could be track and field. I don't mind.
So Matt's just looking for commitment. That's
yes.
if you're keeping track.
Why am I being asked if I'm a Bills fan? What does that have to?
Oh, I'm working on something in my head. John?
Okay.
All right, well, today is, maybe, I don't know if anyone really knows or cares, but today is National Drink Beer Day. And in true Buffalo fashion, this morning at 11 a.m., I went to a bar on the south side of Buffalo called Gene McCarthy's. It's an Irish bar. And it's also connected to the Old First Ward Brewing Company. And they have some of the best chicken fingers that I've ever had. So I had a beer and chicken fingers at 11 o'clock this morning. So my shout-out to Gene McCarthy's for great food and great beer.
So Conrad.
I'm going to shout out Dino Babers. Interesting side effect of this time. I don't know. Matt Johnson was a shining star, and then he kind of faded, and I don't know if his star was going to be hot again, or if it's just seen as like, I don't know what this. I don't really know what the perception of Matt Johnson is, but I kind of think he's not in it. But you do have the 3 stars, which is Rod Carey, Roll the Boat, and Babers, and with WMU fading and NIU fading, it's looking like Babers is the next candidate for win your way out of the MAC, and so I think this could be the last time we see Babers, which is going to be great for us, especially if they can't retain one of those assistants to go from whatever they were running before to Falcon Pass to a brand new system. Hopefully it will destroy Bowling Green, and we won't have to worry about them again. But I see him going. Arkansas could be a job open if they continue to tailspin, or I can either see him, or Illinois has an opening, of course. UCF's playing back, or he's a Hawaii alumni. He played football here. He started his coaching career out here. So if things continue to go bad on the island, maybe Babers can come out here and and restore that 5 wide crazy passing offense they love out here. So savor the Baber. This might be the last time we see him, and hopefully we send him out with a loss. Of course, if we beat him, he probably won't get another job. So.
Okay, because Matt won't talk to me on chat right now because he doesn't want to know what I'm working on. I'm going to switch around my shout-out and say I'm going to go with Josh Thomas, who was signed just started a real estate business last year. There's a great story in one of the Indianapolis newspapers. I'll have linked on Bull Run tomorrow. He thought his NFL career was over. He got a call up to Minnesota camp. He played really well. I think it was a huge mistake for the Vikings to cut him. And so he was cut, one of the last guys cut again, and it kind of felt like he was going to sit the season out. Maybe his NFL dreams are over. Indy had some depth issues. They signed him. He played on 28% of the plays for the Colts, had a massive hit that jarred loose a ball, which was intercepted by Indianapolis and helped them win that game. Everyone who is saying, who the heck is this guy, as Thomas is just playing really well in Indy, and I hope he kind of sticks well there. So that's my shout out for the week, and from myself and the other editors of Bull Run, thanks for watching. Go Bulls, and we'll see you next week.